You are now listening to Contractor Talk with Richie Kidwell, the voice for the people. Join Richie alongside co-host property damage attorney Hans Kennon as they bring light to the taboo world of big insurance companies, exposing their tactics and fighting for justice. Hear stories from contractors across the state. Contractor Talk, here to protect homeowners and uncover the truth.
All right, welcome to the show, Contractor Talk with Richie Kidwell, live every Monday night right here, 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. on 94.9 FM, 950 on the AM dial. Already fumbling. This is going to be a great show for you. We also take this to a podcast for you in any way that you like to stream, whether it be Spotify, iTunes, any other streaming way. Of course, we also film this and we put it on our YouTube channel. Like us, subscribe us there, so you have a couple chances at listening to this show right here. So if you're just passing through Central Florida, as we're only playing here in the Central Florida market live, if you're passing through and you really want to hear this show that you've missed or a prior show, feel free to check us out there. Like I said, YouTube is the best way. And it's a great way to find out Hans Dapper Suit of the Week. At any event, at no event will you see the same suit at any given week at this that you've seen in the past. And so, unlike myself, where I wear almost the same thing every time, and so the opposites exist here in this show. So I'd say definitely check us out on YouTube just for that reason right there. And don't miss the show right here on Contractor Talk with Richie Kidwell. What's going on, Hans, man? We missed you last week.
No, it was good. Traveled a little bit. Was out in Denver, Colorado, taking a look and see what's going on. We know a lot of contractors who have gone out there and folks trying to make their way in the new gold rush of Colorado for roofing and construction and all those types of things. So I went out and did a little bit of that, looking around for everybody. No, it's good to be back.
Nice. All right. It's really good to have you here. We missed you last week. Definitely still talk trash about you. Hopefully you're listening. But yeah, man, we have some good topics for you today, and we have a guest. We're going to jump right into this, as we always have a lot of things to talk about here. I see you brought in a printout that I'd love to talk about. So let's maybe jump right into that.
Sure. We had a discussion today. I was in mediation today, and the adjuster said, she goes, "There's no ordinance and law coverage on this policy." I said, "Well, it's an HO3 policy." She's like, "Yeah." She goes, "But there's no coverage." I said, "Why?" And she said, "Well, because there's a form that the insured didn't sign, and since he didn't sign it, he gets no coverage."
I thought it was the other way around. I thought they automatically get law and ordinance unless they sign the waiver that they want to exclude it.
Exactly. Subsection 2, unless the insurer obtains the policyholder's written refusal of the policy or endorsement, you get 25% of coverage A.
That's right. So they had it backwards.
No, completely. But today, when I was trying to get my client's roof paid for, they were, "Well, we're not paying for all the ordinance and law stuff because he rejected it." I went, "Well, send me the signed rejection." "Well, no. He didn't." Then they changed. "He didn't reject it. He just didn't sign it." And I went,
he rejected the rejection.
I was like, you can't be. I said, "Are you kidding me? That'd be the best thing in the world. You just have people not sign stuff. You don't know them coverage." No. The obligation is on you to get the written refusal. Let's say it's uninsured motorist. You have to get a written refusal, or coverage rolls on. But I just brought that with me because I just thought it was interesting that literally the lady with straight face was like, "He didn't sign the form, so he gets no coverage." I was just like, "Wow, no, you can't really." And I looked at her later. I said, "You got to bring more lawyers next time." I said, "Because you can't." I said, "You can't come to the party and not be ready to go." I said, "If you want to show up and be right."
No kidding.
Don't show up. Be 180 degrees. Can be completely wrong about what you get with an HO3 policy, which we all know is replacement cost value and ordinance and law, unless we refuse those things.
Right. Those are the two things you get in the Florida single-family residential, what we call the full coverage policy for your home. So it's not a rental home or maybe a DP3 policy or something like that would exist. It's an HO3 policy that comes with those major components, those things that are non-negotiable, which is, just like you said, replacement cost value of what it costs today to rebuild your home after disaster or covered peril. And then ordinance and law for those code upgrades. We had an electrician on here last week, and we were talking about what that would look like. And so there are times where if your building was damaged and the last time you had your electricity put in, lack of better terms, but I'm sure I could say that different. Anyways, was like say in the 80s. And now when you have to put it back, you're replacing the roof, maybe some trusses, you're messing in the attic, you have to redo your electrical. I'm totally saying this wrong, but let's say if there's a code upgrade, that's what it's going to cover. It's going to cover 25% of coverage A up to that amount for code upgrades, things that you need to bring back to today's code.
A good example would be an old house, like a house from the 20s or 30s or 40s that still has...
It had like the old cloth covering.
It has cloth covering, has ball and wire, use porcelain insulators, things like that. If that were to be damaged as a result of some loss of whatever hurricane, whatever it may be, you would have to bring all that electrical up to today's code, aluminum wiring, the old style electrical panels, things that survive but now have to be redone. Mm-hmm. That's what that would cover, and typically you have to use up the rest of the coverage before you get to ordinance and law.
Right.
But again, an interesting conversation there with this lady. So keep in mind. And now, what we always argue about with other people is that when they have these roof schedules that only pay you 25% or 50% of your roof because it has a certain age to it.
Right. It's illegal, but yeah, keep going.
Well, and arguably because under the statute 627.7011, they're supposed to have replacement cost value.
Right. I was going to say, is that the replacement cost value statute? So doesn't that conflict with it?
Well,
I mean, it's what it costs today to rebuild it back to pre-loss condition.
Correct. And I mean, and literally, the statute makes a point to say that they have to do it. I'm trying to think. Let's see. Sorry. Adjusted on the basis of replacement cost to the dwelling, not exceeding policy limits. But what they do instead is they put this roof schedule in that I do believe is a violation of this statute because it takes away replacement cost and replaces it with something else.
Right. So the depreciated value, and it's whatever they depreciate. They're literally going to look at it and say, okay, what does it cost to build your roof? Okay, X amount of dollars. Okay, it's 10 years through what we consider maybe a 20-year lifespan roof. And they're just going to cut it in half and say, this is what we're going to pay you. And that's not right. I mean, if I bought a 20-year roof, I want 20 years. I don't care if 19 years and 6 months later a major storm hits. I want you to pay for the entire roof. You know what that roof was when you took my money? Insurable, absolutely.
Yes, it was.
And so you can't then change your mind afterwards as an insurance company, take the premium for the entire year, and then say, oh no, now that there's a claim, oh, it's wear and tear. We should have never gave you coverage on the roof. It's old. We're only going to cover 50%. But now these roof schedules are unconstitutional that they're coming out. It was based off of a Senate bill that we got killed in the committee. It never made it out. But then several insurance companies said, you know what, that's a great idea. And how OIR, Office of Insurance Deregulation, allowed this to come through, like, I don't understand what they do, which is really nothing. I mean, they're just horrible, evil people that don't do anything for the state of Florida.
Think about as to the roof schedule. So for the first 15 years of this policy, because this thing only came into effect but started getting used the last few years. So for the last 15 years, they've been taking full money with obligation to buy a full roof.
Right.
They took all your money and not a reduced rate. Now all of a sudden, because your roof is now aged, they get to apply this thing for which they would have paid a replacement cost all the years before.
Right.
So I was always wondering
what is that value difference there? What's the difference of the policy premium amount of like whatever you call like a roof, like full coverage for it with no sliding scale versus one that offers that?
Well, I think that was one of my questions would be next time I got to sue somebody about this issue. Is okay. So how many years have you insured them? Let's say it's 15 years. How many years has the roof schedule been in effect? 4 or 5. Well, for the first 10, 11 years, you would have paid them replacement cost, but now you're using that elapsed time as a penalty against their getting payment. Mm-hmm. So can you get a credit, at a minimum, credit back for all the years before, at least back for what you gave them for the roof schedule? Because arguably, again, those years are now penalties. Because today they wouldn't pay you that amount of money for that roof. So I always thought there was a way to also find that it's essentially illegal because they're using a time when they would have paid a replacement cost. Now they won't, but they gave you some minor discount for it. So it's a little bit of a work in progress. But I think all those years before when they would have bought you a new roof and now they won't, has to work against them.
Right. I mean, And do they still, another question, right? I mean, do they still have a policy that covers the full value of the roof? And are they offering the secondary policy at a discount?
Well, I mean, the thing is, the statute stands for what it says, as they would say. It says what it says. It says you have to adjust it on a replacement cost basis.
Right.
We'll have to dig in a little more on that. But I think that the points you raised are legitimate too. Is that they bought a policy by statute, even in this. What case was it today? Who was it with? With Progressive, I think it was. Even their policy says Florida law requires us to provide you these coverages, replacement cost value, and ordinance and law. And I'm like,
it literally contradicts itself within the policy.
Exactly. So one of the many things we tussle about here on the show.
We do. And if we have questions, we have the answers for you here. Call Hans, 1-800-CALL-HANS. I think we need to figure out who has that 800 number.
Well, I do have 888-878-HANS.
There you go.
So if you didn't jot that down, it's 888-878-HANS, 4267. So there you go.
There you go. Love it. Our guest tonight, Brandon Sewell, like the jewel. I love that.
Yes.
Seal Pro Painting. What's going on today, man? How you doing?
Hey, not too much. Thanks for having me on the show.
Yeah, absolutely. And like I said, I'm in that moment or that, I guess, just mood to jump right into it. So I wanted to kind of talk with you, get you kind of going with our audience today, and as we like to say, is on the Restoration Association of Florida is who we're backed by. Is an association by contractors for contractors, with the idea to not only to be within ourselves, and that's kind of where we were for a while with the show, where our audience are just contractors, and I say this in a way, we talked about a lot about compliance. We still do. We talk about how to do business in today's marketplace, and so we've opened up to consumers to really introduce the contractors in our network to consumers and vice versa. And I think it's a really good tool for us here on this show and this platform, because I think we all benefit. Contractors and consumers, as when we discuss this, it sets what industry standards are for what we do. Today we're going to talk about painting. We talk a lot about what I don't know, I guess just the laws that keeps us all in place, right? That allows us to do business in our marketplace. But how do we do business? We answer that question a lot as Hans interprets the law when he gets to it. Okay, how do we act when this happens, or under this policy that, like you said, was really still an open question, is like, is there a surface schedule policy that is really enforceable when it really shouldn't be? And so we talk about in depth in those types of topics, and we kind of talk at a really high level based on the experiences that we have. But I think that speaks forward to people. Even Angela here, she's like, I've never, now that I've been a part of the show, she really understands how insurance works a little bit more. And if a big storm or an event comes over her home, she knows a lot more about it. If you're listening to the show now, you've heard stories that we've placed through the show, and even folks that have called in when they've had a loss. And Hans, you've been able to help them all the way through the process. I've been able to help them on the inspection side of things, and they get to that portion to really just help folks really understand what they have in front of them, which is a complex insurance claim that is very difficult. They always tell you, go get 3 estimates, go do all this, and it's really cumbersome for a homeowner. And to really understand that you can blow by certain deadlines, like the 60-day turn in your proof of loss, making sure that you have everything covered on your initial estimates, know that there's supplements, and really understand that process. So it's really cool to be able to bring, or to open this up to consumers, and like I said, and introduce them to folks like yourself. But yeah, tell us a little bit about yourself and your business, and what brings you here today.
Yeah, so again, my business is Seal Pro Painting. We're a residential repaint specialist. We're based out of Titusville, Florida, so we service all of Brevard County and East Orlando, some of like Northeast Osceola, and then Southeast Seminole County. And we do mostly interior, exterior repaints of residential homes. We do some smaller commercial projects. And we've been in business for 8 years, and I've been in the industry for about 10 now. Started out in sales and then started my own company. We have an excellent reputation, so if you look us up online, read our reviews, you're going to see we really thrive on excellence and customer service, and just love to serve our community.
Awesome. And we were talking right beforehand, and what I thought was exciting, and I wanted to talk about it on the show, is that I'm the same way. I don't like big projects. I think about it, I get excited about it at first, but then when you get into it, it's like there's certain detailed portions of it that I'm just not good at. And I will say painting is one of them. You know, something that of course I can do that. And then you get to it and you're like, oh, now you got to trim this out and you got to do this. And this doesn't dry right the same as this. And then what kind of paint do I use for my bathroom versus my living room and those types of things. And so then I'm like, I really need to get a professional out here. Tell me about this. Some of the you were talking about. Is there like a boop in the background? Do you hear that? Oh, it's the emergency broadcast system. If you're listening to this now, please turn your radio up.
Is there a painting emergency?
Oh, I don't know. Hopefully they can still hear us on here, but if not, this is good stuff. But if this is a real emergency, then anyway. Well, hopefully we are playing through.
We can always speak. We always talk under the desk if need be.
Right. We can just bring it in. There you go. There's a warning in East Osceola. There you go. All right. If you're not informed, if you weren't informed before, now you are. Anyways, we'll continue as we are playing right through with no problems. We're definitely going to come out on our podcast just fine. So anyway, sorry for that interruption. There was like a weird I
heard that boop, boop.
Yeah, right in between. There's an emergency. Anyways, all right. So but anyways, you were telling me about about like more of a service contract that you have. Is that a residential type of contract that somebody can have? Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, so we offer a service contract. We do it residential and commercial.
Nice.
Obviously, we cater the service contract, the cost of it, to whether it's residential or commercial. So a residential service contract is going to be a little bit less, and our commercial service contract is going to be a little bit more. But it covers everything from just, painting doors, trim, walls, pressure washing the exterior of a home or business. And it's the way that we've designed it is that it's small projects that we can do in 4 hours or less. And then it's just designed to help maintain the property. So the unfortunate thing is you don't realize it, but painting is an important thing it's a protective coating, right? You're protecting your walls, your doors, trim, you're protecting the exterior of your home. And what we try to do is, rather than letting that paint project go months, years without having any attention, we've designed this service contract so that we can be in our customer's home or business at least twice a year to help maintain those surfaces. So
awesome.
Whether it's...
I think that was going to be my question is how often do you recommend somebody come out? And is it differ between, inside and outside? And does that contract cover both interior and exterior?
Yeah, so it covers both interior and exterior. I mean, it is going to be subject to the preference of our customer. They do have up to 2 visits that they can use for the year.
All right, and up to 4 hours per visit.
Up to 4 hours per visit. And then we just have something in our contract that says if you go over 4 hours, you just pay an hourly rate after the 4th hour. So we don't, if the customer says, hey, I want you to come out and touch up my interior doors, repaint them. We let our customer know, hey, we can do that initial project. If there's anything, if we finish that and there's more work that you would like to be done during that 4 hours, we can do that as well. But once we hit 4 hours, we're either done or you continue to have us do other projects that you would like us to. But after the 4th hour, we charge you our hourly rate. And so we have customers that use it for all types of things, painting a bedroom or, like I said, pressure washing the exterior of their home. Some homes need it more than others. But the customer gets a list in their contract of all the different services that they can choose for their visit. And then it's just up to them to decide what they want us to put attention to.
Wow, that's awesome. I mean, that's a great maintenance program to have on there. I've never thought about that. It's a great idea to have. And does that end up being a monthly payment or is it a semi-annual contract and payment basis? How does that work?
Yeah, so basically the way we have it worked out is you have a monthly choice where you're going to pay a little bit more to do it monthly. And then we also have an annual contract, which is just it has a slight discount to do it to pay up front for the year.
All I know is I'm a pretty clean guy, generally speaking. My children are relatively clean. They're now older. They're all now in their 20s. But the edges of my doors are dirty all the time. Like going into the pantry,
Yeah.
the kitchen,
Everywhere you
the laundry
use your hand
room.
to slide it.
Remember, kids will look for food or sustenance or something, and I go around. It makes me nuts. So I go around with like Lysol wipes or like whatever I got, whatever's damp, and I'm like scrubbing the edge of the door, and then the paint always gets a little funky on the edges, and I was just going, if I could hire someone to just come here, like twice a year, and repaint the banister when they come down from the second floor. Somehow there's grime, literally like tar of some sort on, and then I'll go down and I'll wipe it, and I'll get a Lysol thing, and I wipe it down. I'm like, what are they doing upstairs? They're like walruses living upstairs or something.
Right.
So I would think if I could someone come and clean and then paint the edges of the doors, and paint the banister, I think that would be great. And there's a little, and I just had a guy come in and paint a bunch of stuff, but it's already getting dirty. And on my door to the garage, somebody nicked the door. It's this little tiny triangle. It's like the size of a pencil eraser. And every time I open the door to the garage, I see it. And I just go, and all my paints, all my touch-up stuff, it's buried behind all the other stuff in the garage. And I just go, by the time I get it out, I'm going to kill somebody. I said, so if someone could come over with a Q-tip and a bottle of white paint and just go, Bruce, I'd pay someone just for that. Just so that dot would not be there every day going out of that garage door. I'd be fine with that.
Brandon, I have a referral for you. First referral right here.
There we go.
It does, it makes me crazy.
Yeah, and I'd like to add too, like two of the things that we kind of like when we're selling this to our customers or referral partners, we kind of just mentioned too, like if people like they like entertaining, you know, if they're the family member that hosts their family every Thanksgiving or for Christmas, we kind of pitch it as like, hey, if you want to get your home looking nice for that holiday party you're going to have or a birthday party, we can come in and make everything look like fresh and clean. And also for HOAs, like people who live in HOAs, we hear so many stories of people who have their HOA on their back to do these small little projects, and it's hard to find a contractor who will come in to do these small projects because it's not worth their time. And so what we usually refer our customers to if they call in for those small projects is, hey, sign up for our service contract. Our incentive is that we're going to now have you as a lifelong customer. We're going to come to your home at least once, twice a year, and we'll take care of those small projects for you, whether it's just painting your front door or repainting your trim because your HOA says your trim needs to be repainted, or your garage door is faded and needs to be repainted. So
it's mostly all the pressure washing. I get the letters from the HOA. It's like, you got to pressure wash, and it's every 6 months you got to pressure wash, or they're all over you.
Yeah, I just repainted the whole outside of my house a couple months ago. We repainted it 5 years ago when we bought the house, and it started to get, because of the heat and just the light, it started to get chalky. And so I ended up like, well, let's just do this wall. And then I'm like, well, let's do that wall. Okay, just do the front. All right, just repaint the gutters so they all look white. All of a sudden, I repainted the entire outside of my house like 2 months ago. Just because, like I said, you started, and it's like Jay Leno used to say, you change a doorknob, got to redo the whole room. Because all of a sudden, you're like, the doorknob's beautiful. This room is terrible. I can't believe I live in this dump. So we're going to paint the whole house.
So now, are there new paint materials out that you're now recommending to folks, whether it be exterior paint or really the tough questions are?
I got a question about that.
Are the interior? Because most people select, because you brought it up, Hans, when you talked about the chalky exterior. You're like, I definitely the wrong paint choice to seal and really not come off like that in that chalky way. You don't want to like lean up against it and you got a big chalk mark on your arm. What are you recommending these days?
Yeah, so I mean, obviously a big thing with painting is going to be prep, but with the products that you choose, it is very important to choose the right product. So if you go with cheap products, you're going to get cheap results, and there are better products. There are major differences between going with a cheap paint versus a premium product.
I'd like to point out, I did not use cheap paint. It wasn't cheap to me, at least.
Well, you bought the house and it's all chalky then, so maybe
We repaint the whole thing.
Either way, whatever. We'll jump right into that after the break here. I do want to discuss about the differences of maybe your satin finish paints and your flat paints for the interior of the homes. Folks always have questions about that. I answer that as a mold assessor all the time as far as what you should have to wear, but I'd love to hear it from Brandon here. We'll get back with you after the break here, or come back with Seal Pro, with Brandon with Seal Pro. We'll be right back after the break. All right. We're back live on Contractor Talk with Richie Kidwell, 94.9 FM, 950 on the AM dial. The answer here, if you're listening to us locally, if you happen to be passing by and you missed a part of the show, you can check us out on Spotify, iTunes, a few days after our live show every Monday night. I would say by Wednesday or Thursday, we're on all those streaming platforms. And don't forget to check us out on YouTube. We also video record this show so you don't miss any episode. And of course, Hans Dapper Suit of the Week. You definitely don't want to miss that. And today we have a special guest with Brandon with, I'm looking at a shirt. I'm horrible at this on the fly. I should have been studying this a little bit better. Sorry about that. Seal Pro Painting. He's our expert today. And we're actually some really cool questions right before the break, and I wanted to get back into that. Always have questions about whenever I'm painting the inside of my house. And I'm like, what is the best?
Like you do that at all? Do you have a credit card reader with you? Because I'll give you my.
I can do that.
I will subscribe right now to the annual
I love
plan.
that subscription. I'm not going to forget your chalky outside paint stuff, but over there, Hans. But I do want to talk about what I know everybody's asking or wondering. What's the best material on that? Everybody hears, I love the satin idea. You hear about, you got to make sure it's like, good seal coat in there. You mentioned prep is very important, which I think all of it's important. But what do you recommend for inside paint for a residential home?
Yeah, so obviously the area is going to be one thing to focus on. So we would say like any of your wet areas need to have at least a satin finish.
That'll be your kitchens, bathrooms.
Exactly. Laundry rooms, anything.
Florida rooms that could be high in humidity.
I know there's flat, eggshell, and satin. Is there any difference between eggshell and satin?
So what they say is that eggshell is part of the satin family. So the satin family would have like low sheen eggshell, and then they have like low luster. It's crazy the amount of different sheens that they have.
Like the black sheep of the family? Is that like?
So, really part of it comes down to preference on how much sheen you want to have in the paint. What's really kind of crazy.
It's really how much polymer is in there or something?
Yeah, so that would be like the hardeners and things like that. That's what creates the sheen within the paint. So is all of those solids. And the more solids that you have, the higher the sheen the paint is going to be. So obviously when you go up into your satin, semi-gloss, gloss, high gloss, that's more solids.
Is there a difference of like your satin and your high gloss, or is there?
The biggest difference again is going to be the sheen. So you're adding more of those hardeners, bonders, polymers, and those solids that are in the paint, which are making it more durable as you go up in sheen as well. So you're getting more of a hard, more durable finish.
You can't clean flat. I've learned that.
Yeah, no, right. Flats. The only time we would really recommend flat is for like people who don't have kids, rental homes where you want really easy touch-up ability, where you're having like turning over tenants often, and you don't want to have to repaint every time you turn over a tenant. Satin paint or any type of paint that has a sheen in it is not going to touch up well, just for the simple fact that you're building sheen. The way that paint works is like if you paint a wall and then you paint it again, the sheen kind of builds on itself. So that's why if you go into you see a wall that's been painted with satin paint and then somebody touched it up, you can see it kind of like shines. It's just because that it's built up on that one spot more. It doesn't touch up well. It's going to flash. That's what we would call it. So if you look at the wall on like different angles, you'll see that touch up. But with flat paint, since there's not as much sheen, it's not going to flash or be seen as much. So we would recommend flat for that purpose. But I would say for most of our clients, we're going to do satin on pretty much everything. And then sometimes there's going to be exceptions where customers want semi-gloss on, like their wet areas instead of satin. And then we use specialty paints for trim and doors. We don't use acrylic latex on trim and doors. That's a really big mistake that a lot of people will make, is that they'll use like semi-gloss acrylic latex on baseboards, trim, doors, handrails, whatever. And those paints are just not designed to go on those surfaces. They're not as durable. They're softer. So they're going to break down and get gummy, and they're not going to handle dirt and grease as well, like finger oils and stuff like that.
So what would be a better protection against those finger oils and just really kind of like messing up the paint by touch?
Like Hans's kids.
Right, there you go.
So you want to go to like
like the semi-gloss versus satin. Like what are the main differences?
So when you're talking about trim, doors, anything like that, you want to use a trim specialty paint, or for doors. And those are usually going to be like an enamel, or they're going to be a urethane enamel. The cool thing now is like, there was a time where, you had oil-based paints, and oil-based paints is what you would use on trim and doors and all of that. But it was messy, hard to clean up, all of those other issues. And so now they have what they would call like almost like a hybrid material, where it's a waterborne product, so water-based, but it performs like an oil-based product. So that's where you'd have like your urethane enamels and things like that, which are what we predominantly use now on any of our trim, doors, baseboards, things like that.
And with the service contract, how much does it cost for a service contract with you guys?
So for residential, it's going to be $288 if you pay annually. And there's just a small upcharge if you decide to do monthly, but most people are it's not a huge cost, right? So most people are just going to pay for the annual. And then if it's any commercial-based product or project where it's like doing project management or property management company, and we're doing like rentals that they have, or if we're doing like HOAs, then that's going to be $1,040 for the year.
Oh, that's a big difference. Huh?
And usually with those, we're managing more. And so that's why we charge a little bit.
And so for the $288, I would get a painter from your company for twice a year for up to 4 hours each.
Exactly, yes.
And that includes materials?
It does not include materials.
Okay.
So that's just labor. We can handle material one of two ways. You provide it, or we provide it and then provide you with a receipt for the product at the end of the visit, and then you just pay for the product.
Is there a brand? I mean, I go around. There's a lot of. I'm most surprised how many paint makers there still are. There's a Benjamin Moore here. There's a Sherwin-Williams there. I mean, I'm still shocked that there's that many. Like, I figured by this time it would just be like everyone goes to Bear, or everyone goes that kind of thing. So, is there a product that you recommend?
So what I said, yes, we have products that we prefer to use, but for just a homeowner, like if they were supplying their own paint, we're just going to say, hey, just buy the premium product from whatever manufacturer you're going to go with. Some people won't know this, but just being in the paint industry, some of the bigger companies own some of the smaller companies. So you might be buying this product from Lowe's, and you think that it's a Lowe's product, but really Sherwin-Williams owns it. Right. And so there's a lot of that crossover. And so what we just kind of say is like the manufacturer that you choose for the paint is not as important as making sure that you use a premium product from whichever manufacturer you choose. Now, we do have the preference of Ben Moore or Sherwin-Williams, and then we just use their high end on each. Now, Ben Moore does have a couple products that are higher quality than Sherwin-Williams premium products, but it also comes with a much higher price tag for those materials.
I mean, last time I bought paint, unless I'm wrong, it was only $80 a gallon, or am I wrong? There was some number. And we got some discounts and some coupon, whatever we did.
Yeah.
But it was like $80. I think Sherwin-Williams Emerald or Super or Platinum or whatever. It's like buying a car. You go down. I need the XLT with the air conditioning on my my premium paint.
Yeah.
But it was real money, man.
Yeah.
Per gallon.
Yeah. So I mean, with Sherwin-Williams, you're going to have like their premium product. Highest level is Emerald, and then a step down from that, Duration. Step down from that is going on interior is going to be Super Paint, and then you have ProMar 200, and then it goes down from there. There's even and then on the exterior, same thing. They have their Emerald Rain Refresh. They have their Emerald Duration, Latitude, Super Paint, A100. And we don't use, for our clients, we don't really use anything lower quality than Latitude, so like one of the top 3 products. There are contractors out there that will use some of those lower quality ones. We just choose not to.
So on my house, like I said, 5 years ago, we painted the whole outside. We did the whole thing. I think that was all 5 years ago, was either Super or, I mean, it was considered good. Like, it wasn't junk. I went to showrooms and we said, hey, what do we use? And it was Super Paint or Super Paint or better. Should that have gone chalky on me in 4.5 years?
Yes. So I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but
that's why I'm asking. I mean,
yeah, that's it. We would say here in Florida that's like a 3-year paint.
Okay.
There's, so from Super Paint you can go up to Latitude. We would say Latitude's like a 5 to 7 year paint. And then from Latitude you have Duration. We're gonna say like 10 to 12.
Really? Okay.
And then Emerald or Emerald Rain Refresh, you're gonna get up there in like the 15 plus range.
I'm gonna call my guy and see what he uses.
Now, what about elastomeric type of paint? Is that in that emerald type of platform?
Yeah, so all the paints that I mentioned, those are acrylic latex. Duration does have some elastomeric qualities. They call it permalast technology. What we recommend is using an acrylic latex-based paint. And that's what, with a good masonry primer or sealer before the top coats. As far as elastomeric paints, they can be problematic in the sense that stucco is a masonry surface. It's porous, and it doesn't have any breathability at all. So if there's any moisture trapped inside of the stucco block or whatever substrate, and you put elastomeric over it, it can actually cause problems with bubbling because that moisture has no way to escape. So it gets trapped, and then once that substrate heats up, obviously the moisture is going to be trying to find a way out, and then it's going to bubble. So we actually don't. It's a great product, but it's very expensive to apply correctly, and most people don't apply it correctly.
Gotcha. That's good to know. And you mentioned before you offer free estimates. So free at-home estimates for you to come out and give an estimate for. One way or one thing we didn't get from you was how to get a hold of you.
Yeah, so the best way, if you're interested in finding out more about my business, it's just going to be sealpropainting.com, like the animal, SEAL, propainting.com, and all the information that you would need is there.
Perfect. Love that. And I'm going to have you come out to do that. How often would you recommend the interior of your home being checked and maybe repainted, especially here in Florida?
I would say the interior is not going to be as important as the exterior with like pressure washing.
You start to see cracks in the ceilings and things like that. I wanted to bring that up after the break here, but maybe we'll jump into that to talk about all those cracks and all that fun stuff here as we live in this Florida humidity. We'll be right back. Contractor Talk with Richie Kidwell. Right. We're back live on Contractor Talk with Richie Kidwell, 94.9 FM, 950 on the AM dial. The Answer right here every Monday night on this fine radio dial. If you're just now tuning in, driving through Central Florida, check us out, the full show out on Spotify, iTunes, anywhere you like to stream, or jump on over to YouTube. Like us, subscribe us there. Contractor Talk podcast is what you'll be looking for on YouTube. So great conversation today with our special guest, Brandon, with Seal Pro Painting, sealpropainting.com.
Yes, that's correct.
All right. Beautiful. And so that's how you get more information in a free estimate. He even has a service contract for your home. I'm telling you, you need to go to his website, check it out right now. Hans and I are already a fan and already going to subscribe. Hans had his credit card out before the last break and was like, how do I sign up? I need some stuff done in my house.
I got cash money too if you need it.
There you go. on the boom. So then, and it's slightly different than on a monthly, maybe about $29.95, $30 a month, something like that. A couple of coffees a month. How do they say that? Just a couple of months. Anyways, but to have that, and that's 2 4-hour visits a year to come out. That covers the labor to have any of your projects done that you've been sitting there scratching your head. I'll get to that sometime or another, but you're going to get to that.
Question on timing.
Sure.
If they come out and only work for 2 hours, do I have 2 hours in the bank, or I get 2 visits up to 4? That's it.
Exactly. So it's up to 4.
Oh,
yeah. So
enough.
That's why we usually say, like, if we get done what you want us to get done in 2 hours and you still have 2 hours left, we can take care of other things for you. And most people do.
Okay. Yeah. Fair enough.
And then you also talked about the prep. I'm somebody that would probably sign up just to ensure that I get my every 6 months to get my sidewalks pressure washed. I mean, that's a part of the services you add because, or you have within your service company, right? Because I guess to do the exterior of your home, you have to pressure wash, I would imagine. So you provide that service as well.
Yes, that's correct. Yeah, pressure washing is part of it, and also paver sealing. So,
About to ask that.
Yep,
That's
we
awesome.
do paver sealing as well. But yeah, pressure washing is a big one. You know, you can do it even if you just signed up for that twice a year. It's a big benefit for most homes.
Heck yeah, definitely. And then on the back patio, I'm thinking about my pool deck and such like that. It's special paint and even really a special technique of applying it. Is that something that you also provide as a service?
We do pool decks, but that's kind of a nuanced question. So we don't do some of the like, for example, polyaspartic is really popular right now, which is a much more durable product than, let's say, a pool deck paint that's acrylic based or like a concrete stain. The thing with pool decks is you have a lot of things working against them to not last very long, from the chemicals in the pool, standing water constantly, high volume of foot traffic. So we go into those projects with the expectation that, yes, there is a specialty coating for this, but there should not be the expectation that this is going to last like 10 years or something.
Right. As long as it looks good, right?
Yeah.
and lasts for a good while. And so right before the break, I was saying, like, how often would you recommend having the interior of your home painted? And my question really stems from a really personal question that I have is like the ceiling. It's like, and my house was painted and redone when I moved in 2018. So till today, we really last couple of years, you start to see like little chunks kind of like get loose on the ceiling and just like little cracks and stuff. And a lot with humidity changes, you start to see those kind of happen on that. And so, have you seen that? Is it common? And how often do I need to, be looking to maybe update paint, or maybe I just had the wrong cheap stuff done whenever the house was
or
overdone?
do you need a drywall guy?
Yeah, or do I need a drywall guy? Right.
Yeah, so ultimately it's going to be a drywall repair first and then paint. What we say with any type of cracks like that is that we can't guarantee whether they will come back or when. So we can repair them, and we can recommend how to do it right and make sure that your ceiling looks seamless and it has a nice finish. Most people don't want to pay to have it fixed right. So most people just want us to just like patch that one area.
Or just like paint over it and just hope it holds.
Spackle and go or something.
Yeah. But unfortunately, doing it that way, the crack's eventually going to come back under most circumstances. And so really the proper fix with it would be wherever that crack is most likely on a seam. So it would be to, retape that seam, remud it, and then, you can, a really good drywall person can, get close to matching the texture, but texture is it's a random pattern. It's, once it's, if you, like, for example, if you have a knockdown, that mud is shot up there and it's knocked down and it's random, right? So to try and match it perfectly is very difficult. So most people are going to be, aren't going to be pleased with the aesthetic of it, even after like a patch. So ultimately what you would want to do is have that seam repaired, retaped, remudded, and then retexture the entire ceiling wherever that is.
Is that something within your scope?
Yeah, that's something that we can do, absolutely.
Awesome. That's great. That's good stuff. So if you're looking for a free estimate, whether it be your home or your business, and you cover majority of Central Florida all the way to the East Coast, is that right? Yeah,
so we originally got started in the Conway area. So off of South Cimarron, just north of the airport. That's where I originally started my business. And then when I bought my first home, I moved to Titusville. For years, I was commuting over to the East Orlando area. So we were servicing pretty much all of East Orlando from like St. Cloud, Harmony, all the way up to DeLand, and then west over to Winter Garden, Windermere, all the way down to Davenport. Haines City, that area. And then when I eventually just started moving, I opened a location in Titusville 5 years ago, and just slowly started to move our business east. So now we no longer service the majority of the west part of Orlando. Every once in a while, we take jobs in like Winter Park, Winter Garden, Windermere, some of those higher end areas, but we don't do like Haines City, Davenport, and those areas as much
How about
anymore.
a Popka, Altamont?
How about a mile from here?
Right here.
Yeah, we would come to Altamont Springs. We've done some jobs here recently. A Popka, no, we wouldn't go up to a Popka.
Well, you can probably just call it Longwood.
We'll call it Wekiva.
Call Wekiva. Yeah. We both live like a mile and a half from here.
Right.
Okay, yeah, I mean that's fine.
Okay.
All right, so it's not a Popka.
Right. Yeah, it's definitely not. We're not calling it a Popka.
We basically try to
Forest
stay on the east side of I-4.
Okay, right.
So, if there's some projects that are a little bit west of I-4, that's fine. But we're not necessarily trying to get a ton of business on the west side of I-4.
Okay.
Gotcha.
I had a guy I knew. I said, "Where do you live, Ray?" He said, "Oh, I live in Wekiva." I said, "Oh, yes." He goes, "Where do you live?" I said, "Well, I live in Longwood." He goes, "Where do you live?" I said, "Well, go down Wekiva Springs Road." He goes, "That's a Popka."
Right.
And then I go, "Where do you live?" And he goes, and I said, "That's a Popka." He goes, "All right." And so neither of us wanted to admit we live in a Popka. So we're like, "Oh no, it's Wekiva and it's Longwood." No,
We're in that weird road. You drive down the road, you're in Longwood. You drive the other way, you're in a Popka. It's like literally changing counties. There's a sign that I drive by every day. Now you're entering Seminole County, Exeter County, whatever. Sorry. Anyways, but that's great to know. But anything you do need to know is reviews, how to get an estimate, all the information. SealProPainting.com is where you get that. Is there an email address for it?
Yeah, you can reach out to info@sealpropainting.com if you just have a general inquiry. If you want to reach out to me directly, it's just my first name, Brandon, and it's spelled with an E, BRANDEN, @sealpropainting.com.
Perfect.
Phone number? Phone number?
The best one to reach would be 407-476-5797.
Right. And like you're saying, you offer free estimates and you also offer the service plan.
Yep.
So, which I think is genius. And I think it's something that we're also going to set up for ourselves. I think it's just a great thing to have for somebody that is just, I want to keep my place up just the same way you do after your kids leave and everything. So I want to make sure, because I'm usually the one that's messing everything up. So I think this will be a service well needed.
It's like a gift to your wife.
It really is. It really is.
When the holiday comes, you get her a
miss it.
card and put in a little annual thing. Honey, I bought this for you.
For you.
Yeah, it's nice. It's heartwarming.
You're messing things up. So, but yeah, man. And then we were talking about the texture and the paint. I was gonna, is it something that we did wrong? I mean, as far as like putting the paint on, would it have done a better job sealing that in there? There's a lot of humidity in the state of Florida, so when I look at the ceilings outside of the popcorn ceiling, everybody now has to know or the different knockdown, different types of designs on there. Would you recommend a certain paint type for that, for elasticity, so to speak, so I don't have to every couple of years I have to fill in cracks and such like that?
Yeah, I mean, most people aren't going to use it. The standard go-to for ceiling paint is going to be flat paint. But if you wanted the added protection, elasticity, and things like that, you could, step up to like a satin or something like that for the ceilings. It's just most people don't do satin on their ceilings, but you
Is that
certainly
just like
could.
Cost saving? It's just like, it's just your ceiling. It's gonna.
Yeah, I think it's cost, but it's also if you so satin is going to be more reflective because of the sheen, so it's going to highlight imperfections. So if there's any imperfections in the ceiling, you have a higher chance of just basically bringing attention to those. So doing a flat paint it helps to hide imperfections. So most people are just going to do flat on their ceilings.
I have a question about my front door.
Yes.
My front door faces the afternoon sun, and it gets hot. It does, but the door is painted black. It came, I guess, primed, and it's I'd say plastic, but it's not wood.
It's fiberglass.
So yeah, we got it at Lowe's or Beaver Door or somebody, whoever it was like that, and we have trouble keeping the paint sticking to the black door. Mm-hmm. So that'd be one thing I would ask you guys about is painting my front door with something that doesn't come off, and it just strips off a little. It just strips off like a little bit here and there, and it's just kind of maddening.
So it could be the type of paint that's used. So if you're using like an acrylic latex by itself on the front door, that's not going to hold up as well as like what I had mentioned if you use like an enamel-based product.
Right.
So like an all-purpose enamel or urethane enamel, that's going to hold up better on the front door. But
Would you
also,
have to strip the door in order to put that on it?
it depends. We would have to see what condition it is, but there's a possibility that that would be the best route.
Right.
Is to remove what's there, sand it down, prime it, and then put the correct top coat on it. But I'll also say, so paints have what's called an LRV value. So it's based on, it's called the light reflective value. So any type of like dark colored paint, like black, navy blues, reds, dark greens, they're going to have actually a lower light reflective value, which is going to cause them to fade and not last as long. And then paints that have a higher light reflective value are going to withstand that afternoon sun better.
They bounce instead of absorb.
Right. Yeah. So it's, yep, exactly. So, I mean, it's like your white is going to be the highest. So like you could look at the light reflective value on any white colors, light grays, or anything like that, and they're going to have a higher light reflective value.
I'm not going to have a honeydew list. I'm a Brandon do list.
Yeah, there you go. I love that. Thank you so
nice.
much for being on our show tonight, Brandon.
Absolutely.
With Seal Pro Painting, sealpropainting.com. info@sealpropainting.com is how you find them.
Or Brandon with an E.
There it is, Brandon with E. That's the other way that you ask for him directly. Make sure you ask for Brandon, or as you send the email to info@sealpropainting.com. There you go. If you liked what you heard today, check us out on our sponsoring website, raflorida.org. You can become a member if you're a contractor, or just check out our membership levels there. We'll talk to you guys next week, every week. Contractor Talk with Richie Kidwell. See ya.